Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria,
giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Nenna Oragwa. And our top stories tonight. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. President Muhammadu Buhari says the ongoing fight against corruption in Nigeria could be effectively tackled with a strong support of the judiciary. In a statement issued in Abuja, Special Advisor on Media and Publicity Femi Adesina said the president disclosed this during a town hall meeting with Nigerians living in Ethiopia. The president said far-reaching reforms of the judiciary remains a key priority for his administration. He assured members of the Nigerian community in Ethiopia that with the support of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, he would continue to do his best to improve the nation's judicial administration system. In urban development and infrastructure, President Buhari announced that the federal government has ordered a review of several railway transport projects signed by the previous administration with the Chinese government. President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration will continue to guarantee the economic rights of women in the country. In a statement issued in Abuja, Special Advisor on Media and Publicity Femi Adesina says the president disclosed this at the 26th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of States and Governments of the African Union in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. He asked that the president promised increased budgetary allocation to projects specifically targeted at improving the lives of women. The president further disclosed the federal government under his watch has demonstrated its commitment to the rights of women by appointing women of proven integrity to key positions within the cabinet. President Buhari also commended the AU's decision to declare the year 2016 as the Year of Human Rights in Africa, with special focus on the rights of women. Also, President Muhammadu Buhari has advocated the need for the speedy achievement of the African Union's vision to silence the guns and reduce preventable conflict-related deaths in the continent by 2020. In a statement issued in Abuja, Special Advisor on Media and Publicity Femi Adesina says the president made this known while speaking at the 26th AU Summit in Addis Ababa. President Buhari decried the use of scarce resources in African armed conflicts rather than economic and social development of the continent. He challenged fellow African leaders to engage decisively with the people and government of South Sudan and Burundi to bring the conflict they face to a speedy end. The president added that African leaders must also urge a united front to rid the continent of the scourge of terrorism and unitedly face with determination the noble goals of Agenda 2063 as espoused by the AU. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has called on African leaders to deepen and strengthen democratic credentials through regular, free and fair elections in order to bring about the stability necessary to improve the infrastructure that promotes rapid economic growth in the continent. Speaking during the dinner in his honor by Cercle Diplomatique, Geneva, Switzerland, ex-President Jonathan expressed his belief in the future of the African continent as it remains a very fertile and attractive territory that yields irresistible returns on investments. While advising the new generation of African leaders to think differently, Jonathan notes that it is not worth it to willfully sacrifice the blood of citizens on the altar of dangerous partisan politics. Jonathan further speaks on the 2015 general election, saying he considered defeat because the country was at the verge of collapse as a result of tension from different quarters and polarization of the polity. Former president says he did not want Nigeria to slide into a theater of war with its fellow countrymen and women dying and many more pouring into other nations in Africa and beyond as refugees. The Senate wants government to adequately fund the Accident Investigation Bureau of the aviation sector for enhanced service delivery. This is part of the recommendations and the report of its ad hoc committee on aviation after consideration of a motion by Theodore Orji on the need to publish accident reports in the sector. They are also advising on the need for promptness and accuracy in the presentation of the reports.
Apart from the issue of inadequate funds to cover logistics, technical and administrative challenges which further hamper timely publication of accident reports also exist. Insufficient evidence on specific causes of plane crashes, especially between 2008 and 2009, are also militating factors. These lawmakers, in their submission, highlight other possible challenges.
In some cases, you will need the manufacturers to even be present at the site of the accident to be able to have input into the investigation. And some of the parts may have to be flown to the manufacturer's laboratory to be able to give accurate results. And this may delay the results and may be open-ended because what they are doing is not under the control of Nigerian aviation. And I think this is what may be responsible for the delay in the report of some of these accidents.
The only information I want to add here is that some difficult to interbox because can easily interpret it. As to means the manufacturer will have to interpret it for the industry.
The report, I didn't see where they said they talked about personnel, because adequate and trained personnel is very essential in their job, but they are lacking in that aspect. They don't have trained personnel to investigate these accidents, and once you don't have the personnel, you can't make any move.
They, however, agree that implementing the committee's recommendations will ensure that the country's aviation industry progress in line with international best practices.
This is an area that is very, very important as it involves the lives of our people. I believe what we're trying to achieve here is, first of all, to ensure that Nigeria meets the best global practices and bring confidence to the Nigerian public, as this is a main form of transportation. The Senate Committee on Aviation can also follow up on some of these recommendations for a past, particularly the fact that let the outstanding reports be completed, and also on the issue of budget review. I don't think there's any amount we spend on this area is too much, considering the implications and when we talk about lives of our dear people.
The Accident Bureau of Investigation is currently investigating 8 accidents, while 10 reports have been finalized and 13 are still in the draft stage. Basiaye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
One of the most strategic ministries in Nigeria today, it's the Power, Works and Housing Ministry, with most of the nation's issue in terms of development tied to actions or inactions of the ministry. In this report, correspondent Kazim Kasali x-rays the ongoing fact-finding tab by the ministry and issues that need to be addressed. According to the Minister Babatunde Fashola, the report.
On assumption of office, former Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola, having been briefed by top officials of the ministry, decided on a fact-finding tour of projects under the ministry. A tour which took off from the North Central in Kogi State has seen him taking projects in all the sectors of his ministry, and has also taken him to Benue, Nasarawa and Plateau State. At all points, the recurring issue from these states has been that of electricity projects abandoned or stalled due to one reason or the other, either its transmitting stations or power generating stations. But for the minister, the issue will require Nigerians to do more to ensure that not only do the project take off and reach completion, but for everyone to pull in the same direction.
This is the times that we stand in. This is the time that we must now stand up and be counted. We must show now that we can do this. So it's not a government thing alone, it's not President Buhari's show alone, it's not the state governor's show alone or the local government chairman's show alone. It's everybody's show who truly wants this land to be beautiful. And looking at some of the roads that we built, I think we just set very low ambitions. We built single carriageways when we had money. Now we don't have money. The roads are in disrepair. Why don't we build 5-6 lane roads at the time when we had the money and build them to last?
On the roads front, states also made appeals for a reimbursement of funds expended on the completion of some federal road projects so that they will put the funds to other uses. For the Plateau State Governor, it's a very important move, not only as an encouragement for states, but to also ensure other projects get attention. The minister says he's in tune with this.
But we are already going on with the roads, and we are not sure when we are going to get our refund. But we are pleased that if we are able to get this refund, we'll also go ahead and engage most of our projects on grounds and also part of other federal government projects that we have. And if you move away from that, we had one that was already completed. That is the Hypan Road.
If governors have done work for the purpose of adding value to federal government assets, which federal government ought to have done, and this is only fair, really, that they be reimbursed for it, subject to appropriate pricing, quality control, and so on and so forth. And that's what we're looking at. The President has made it very clear that his position aligns with that principle in order to also encourage state governors to participate in the refurbishment of assets.
The minister also asked this request for states to ensure the provision of affordable housing for all Nigerians.
As far as housing is concerned, you might have received my letter asking for land, so I hope that you will be able to let us know where you have in mind and how soon we can get the title documents and the survey. At least they will advise how the title documents should be issued.
With all these efforts aimed at national development, it is indeed the dawn of the change era in Nigeria. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Rivers State Commissioner for Information and Communication, Austin Tam Judge, has called on all people of the state to support Governor Nyesom Wike's government in order to move the state forward. While addressing journalists in Port Harcourt, West says supporting Governor Wike's government will bring meaningful development through the implementation of life-transforming projects and programs in the state. The commissioner also reassures that Governor Wike's administration is committed to rekindling the faith of the people in government through the rejuvenation of public trust, urging the people of Rivers State to serve as watchdog and hold the government accountable where found wanting the discharge of its responsibilities to the people. He adds that Wike's administration will remain responsive and committed to its social contract with the people of Rivers State. Indigenous people of Biafra IPOB United Kingdom branches decry the reasons given by Honorable Justice John Soho of the Abuja Federal High Court for not granting the bail application of leader of IPOB and director of Radio Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. In a statement signed by its spokespersons, Ima Mezue and Clifford Chukwuemeka Iruanya, IPOB says the reasons were biased and inappropriate. The group adds that Kanu has not even been tried in the court, not to talk of being convicted. Therefore, he does not understand the offense he is found guilty of committing, and which the judge says he would likely commit if released. IPOB further notes that the denial of bail to Kanu is a systematic denial of the entire southeastern Nigeria of their rights. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a break now. Return with more stories. Stay with us.
Because I want to be a doctor and help people when they are sick. I want better education and training so I can be a soldier and protect my country. I want better roads to avoid accidents so I can get to school on time safely.
Are you aware that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high? Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the federal government of Nigeria.
Glad to have you back at still CoreTV Primetime News. A reminder of our top stories. For more of our news stories and information, join us on our social media platforms, facebook.com/CoreTV News, on Twitter at CoreTV News NG. You can also follow us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV News. The lingering strike action by the Nigerian Union of Teachers in Kwara State over the non-payment of 3 months' backlog of salaries by the state government is causing growing concern among parents and stakeholders. The state government is said to have paid 90% of the October salary after the intervention of traditional rulers and other stakeholders. In this report, correspondent Rashid brings us the reactions of parents. The low level of moral, religious and academic education in Nigeria has been described as the bane of Nigeria's development. Government and Nigerians are thus advised to give education a priority, as it takes knowledge to bring forth the change promised by the government and even in the fight against Lassa fever scourge. Our correspondent reports from Oshogbo.
The change mantra of the APC-led federal government may be said to be the most commonly used word in Nigeria of today. But at a public lecture tagged Change, the Islamic Perspective, scholars opine that the desired change in Nigeria rests largely on the level of education. To this medical expert, preventive measures against Lassa fever is being spelled out by Prophet Muhammad only if such knowledge is known to all.
Like the issue of cleanliness, Prophet have said it. And as Muslim, at least we clean our hands 15 times in a day when we are performing ablution. So also cleaning of rats, snakes, scorpion and other things are entrenched in Islam by the Prophet's hadiths.
In the words of this cleric, the desired change may not be achieved unless Nigerians are educated according to the dictates of the holy books.
He commands us in the Quran that those books are the book of Allah. If the people of the book use their book to govern the country, the government will succeed.
Nigerians and the government are, however, advised to take education and knowledge seeking as a task for all.
Without education, you are just a sheer illiterate. So education is central, is the one that will drive the change. So everybody must be educated.
With the Buhari administration giving education a priority, it is hoped that Nigeria will start experiencing a turnaround in its polity. Rashid, CoreTV News, Oshogbo.
As an act of Ibadan for us.
Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola says revenues from cocoa and other prominent farms produce in which Osun State has comparative advantages have great capacities to turn around the economy and fortunes of the state if pursued with renewed vigor. Governor Egbeshola, who stated this while meeting with cocoa produce merchants in the state at the government house, said the new cocoa development initiatives in the state will be a new cash inflow for the state. It discloses that the state has enumerated and identified 60 million active cocoa trees in the state to start the production of cocoa omoluabi. The governor further assures that his administration will leave no stone unturned to make the state great and ensure that Oshu ranks among the best cocoa producers in Nigeria within the next 2 years. A member of the 7th House of Representatives, Honorable Okpeyemi Bamidele, has called on the national leadership of the All Progressive Congress to begin a process of genuine reconciliation of all groups in the Ekiti State chapter of the party. The former federal lawmakers assures that genuine reconciliation and unity in APC, that PDP being led by Governor Ayodele Fayose cannot retain the state during the 2018 governorship poll. Bamidele said the crisis that engulfed the party leading to his defection to Labour Party, where he contested against ex-Governor Kayode Fayemi in the June 21, 2014 governorship poll, was over, saying his reunion with the party is a natural thing that should not be a surprise to anybody. The lawmaker says he would continue to rally support for his leadership in Ekiti APC for the party in the coming elections. The All Progressive Congress APC has condemned the decision by the leadership of the Catholic Church in Enugu Parish to transfer Reverend Father Ejike Mbaka from Christ the King Parish in the government-reserved area of the state to Our Lady Parish in Emene, a suburb of the state. The spokesperson of the APC Southeast Caucus, Osita Okechukwu, who spoke against the transfer of Mbaka, says it is wrong to punish the fearless priest for his professions, which is proven to be from God. Okechukwu, while expressing concern over Mbaka's safety, alleged that the transfer was influenced by outside forces. He pointed out that the priest has been under attack from President Muhammadu Buhari's opponents since he prophesied the president's victory in the last election. The APC chieftain, however, noted that the party is in solidarity with the priest and condemns all attacks on him. Plateau State government has called on residents of the state to engage in community self-help initiative to alleviate the sufferings of their neighbors. The Commissioner for Survey and Town Planning in Plateau State, Festus Fuante, disclosed this while decrying the rate of unemployment in the state. Our Plateau State correspondent tells us more in this report presented from our studios.
The Plateau State government has urged residents of the state to engage in community self-help initiative to alleviate the suffering of their neighbors. Speaking on the backdrop of the high level of unemployment coupled with loss of various means of livelihood due to the prolonged communal crisis, the Commissioner for Survey and Town Planning in Plateau State says it is easier for the government to offer assistance when the people are already making efforts to assist themselves.
And once there is community self-help initiatives like this, government can only complement and then help out where they can. Especially that one of our cardinal points is to reach out and empower people who provide employment opportunities through self-help.
Like this borehole, if you check for a couple of years, it's not working, but I put it in order. I'm not saying that I must do for Christian or I must do for Muslim. If God taught me to do anything for the people, I do it for people because I am the people is me.
Several reports have blamed the prolonged crisis in the state on poverty, high level of unemployment and school dropouts, but expectations are high that there will be an end to this menace.
It is supposed to be a humble religious education acquisition of knowledge, mastering the Quran from childhood, but most of these adolescents are thrown into the streets without any sense of belonging, filled with a sense of helplessness and hopelessness for the majority of them. The life they may just eke out a living for the rest of eternity. That is the story of the Marjorie, the begging bands of northern adolescents. In a special report, a Kaduna State correspondent, Theophilus Habila, takes a look at the lives of the street children. The report is presented from our studios. We'll bring you that report in our subsequent bulletins. And finally, tonight, cartoons and the strips are usually seen from a comical point of view by most readers, whereas underneath, any cartoon strip is embedded in it. Messages that are didactically, socio-political, and economically driven in nature. Cartoons are therefore sources of news that summarize a whole happening in the society. Our correspondent Abiola Oluwole takes a look at how cartoons are viewed by Nigerians. The reports.
Newspapers such as Charlie Hebdo and others like it are known for their satirical cartoons, especially in looking at naughty issues. This comical approach has helped in shaping opinions on oftentimes very controversial issues. For readers of newspapers in Nigeria, satirical pieces in most dailies are sources of news and as well directing the mindset of the public on national issues. Though cartoons are relegated to the obscure part of the newspapers, they still go a long way in affecting position of the public on national issues.
It's very informative and funny at the same time because it goes to show that when there are serious issues in the country, even those that cannot read the newspapers, you understand, by the time they see the drawing on the paper, the elaboration and the display on the newspaper using cartoon, it shows what is going on in the country.
To me, I see it as in creating this is what this person is. Like making you know this is this person and this is what this person has done.
Some people see it as a kind of intimidating things, a kind of embarrassing things, and some see it as a yes, this is the thing I want.
When you see a cartoon, it's very nice something. It can teach you a lot of things that you need to know.
To an avid reader of the dailies, cartoons play an essential role in molding public opinion.
At times, it tells us what we are doing in this country. Let me use this corruption people, how they corrupt when they are in the government, you know. But at times when you see that cartoon, you see one man carry all Nigerian money on his head, whereby some people, they are feeling hungry. To eat is a big problem.
No, I can see cartoon holding the footing for paper. They do some of the resembling human being, they acting as cartoon. But for me, I am not supporting that, man, because they are useless humanity.
You use the cartoon to describe wrongly about person. It helps, but let it be in the right direction.
To cartoonists, their work are conceptualized after trending social issues. Irrespective of the importance accorded cartoons in our national lives, their truth remains satire must be properly conceptualized to prevent it from causing mass unrest in the nation, just as the average write-up in the newspaper have been pinpointed as reasons behind civil unrest in parts of the world. Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News, Abuja.
On the foreign scene, multiple bomb blasts killed 60 people in Damascus. Bring you details of this and more stories after this break. Just stay with us.
Chima, what did you do so?
Same market now.
Hey, person when they buy the market, you don't get receipts. What did you do?
Which receipt? No be pocket money they go.
Hey, you didn't pay tax.
Who be tax?
Guy, all these health centers where they run, na tax o.
My brother, make I tell you, good road, na tax. Security, na tax. No school where your children they go, how you think say them they pay the teachers? Brother, na tax. And if you no pay your tax, my brother, then go lock your shop.
Abeg, Tunde, where did they pay the tax?
Na for tax office now.
Carry me go there.
Who go? Abu, help us look shop, abeg.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back on the foreign scene. 3 bomb blasts have killed more than 60 people and injured at least 40 persons in Syria's capital, Damascus. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says the explosions, one of which was caused by a car bomb, occurred near the Shia Muslim shrine of Sayyida Zainab today. Observatory discloses that several Shia militia fighters were among the dead, adding that the casualty number is expected to rise. The Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant ISIL group has claimed responsibility for the attack, saying that 2 operations hit the most important stronghold of Shia militias in Damascus. The heavily populated area of southern Damascus is a site of pilgrimage for Shias from Iran, Lebanon and other parts of the Muslim world. The shrine houses the grave of the daughter of Ibn Abi Talib, whom Shias consider the rightful successor of Prophet Muhammad, and has been targeted in 2012 and in February 2015. 12 people, including 3 children, have died in a huge fire at a textile factory in the east of the Russian capital, Moscow. Officials say the blaze engulfed some 3,000 square meters of the building and took more than 5 hours to be put out. Russia's Child Rights Commissioner, Pavel Astakov, said the victims were migrant workers who had been living and working in the building. State investigators are looking into the cause of the blaze, but said arson has not been ruled out. Europe's police intelligence unit says more than 10,000 migrant children may have disappeared after arriving in Europe over the past 2 years. Europol said thousands of vulnerable minors had vanished after registering with state authorities, adding that some children and young people have been forced into sexual exploitation and slavery by criminal gangs. Officials in Italy warned in May 2015 that almost 5,000 children had disappeared from asylum reception centers since the previous summer. In October, the authorities in Trelleborg in southern Sweden said about 1,000 unaccompanied refugee children and young adults who arrived in the town in the previous month had since gone missing. We now move on to sports.
Our style, that's what he delivered. Here's that ball storming, now he takes Puyol with a flying lead.
Go, taking them out in the lead immediately.
In sports, Chelsea has recorded a comfortable 5-1 victory over MK Dons in the FA Cup 4th round tie. A first-half hat-trick from Oscar, Eden Hazard and Bretland Traore, both scoring the first goal of the season for Chelsea, ensured a smooth passing to the 5th round of the competition. Gozendek remains undefeated in 8 games since replacing Jose Mourinho at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea travels away to Watford on Wednesday for a Premier League fixture. Everton is cruised to a comfortable 5th round victory over Carlisle in the English FA Cup. Aruna Kone put the visitors ahead inside 2 minutes, followed by goals from Aaron Lennon and Ross Barkley. Carlisle exit from the competition meant no League 2 side is remaining in English oldest football competition. Cone's goal after 91 seconds is the 2nd quickest goal in the FA Cup this season. And finally, in tennis, Novak Djokovic has claimed the 6th Australian Open title over Rafael Nadal in an epic Melbourne battle for supremacy. Djokovic and Murray played out the 6-1, 7-5, 7-6 final game with Murray, losing his 5th Australian Open final. Djokovic now equals Roy Emerson's record for the most Australian Open titles. And that's it in CoreTV Primetime News. But before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. Thank you so very much for staying with us tonight. I am Nena Oragwa. Do have a beautiful night to rest.